All right, everybody, we have a brand new book and we're super excited about it. So, everybody, we are reading the 5 second rule. Oh, yeah, hold up the other one too. So, it could look like this if you bought it years ago, but it could also look like that if you bought it off of Amazon now. So, make sure if you're joining us that you get the right book because the one now on Amazon that looks like this is in Spanish, which is great if you speak Spanish, but if you don't, you might want to just read.
I was gonna say, I know we're recording, but this book was on the kitchen table. It came a couple days ago, and my daughter, she's 13, and I barely brushed my hair today. She goes, "Mom, I keep looking at that book, and I feel like that's you that wrote that."
I know. Look at your face.
I
Look
look
at your
like her.
glasses. It's so funny.
She had to turn it over. It kept bothering her. She had to flip it over to the
Like
other
mom's
side.
watching me all the time. Her eyes follow me across the room. Awesome. Well, I'm super excited about this book. I know Jenny read it a long time ago. I read it a long time ago as well, but I've been kind of refreshing this morning and last night, and I'm excited that we're all reading it together because it has it has the potential to have such a huge impact on your day-to-day life. Should you choose to 5 4 3 2 1 your way into your day and all the things that scare you or that you just don't want to do, right? All right, so Jenny, did you want to start reading for us?
Sure.
Okay. And we are in this book, if you're following along, there are a lot of testimonials that are just actually almost like screenshots taken from social media sites and things like that. We are not going to be reading those. We're going to skip over those. She does highlight them in a lot of her actual text. So we'll just kind of skip over those and just follow along with the book.
5 seconds to change your life. If you're searching for that one person who will change your life, look in the mirror. You're about to learn something remarkable. It takes just 5 seconds to change your life. Sounds like a gimmick, doesn't it? It's not. It's science. I'll prove it to you. You change your life one 5 second decision at a time. In fact, it's the only way you change. This is the true story of the 5 second rule, what it is, why it works, and how it has transformed the lives of people around the world. The rule is easy to learn and its impact is profound. It's the secret to changing anything. Once you learn the rule, you can start using it immediately. The rule will help you live, love, work, and speak with greater confidence and courage every day. Use it once, it'll be there for you whenever you need it. I created the 5 second rule at a time in my life when everything was falling apart. And by everything, I mean everything. My marriage, finances, career, and self esteem were all in the gutter. My problem seemed so big that it was a struggle each morning to get out of bed. That's actually how the rule began. I invented the rule to help me break my habit of hitting the snooze button. When I used the rule for the very first time 7 years ago, I thought it was silly. Little did I know I had invented a powerful metacognition technique that would change absolutely everything about my life, work, and sense of self. What's happened to me since discovering the 5 second rule and the power of 5 second decisions is unbelievable. I not only woke up, I shook up my entire life. I've used this one tool to take control and improve everything from my confidence to my cash flow, my marriage to my career, and my productivity to my parenting. I have gone from bouncing checks to 7 figures in the bank, and from fighting with my husband to celebrating 20 years of marriage. I've cured myself of anxiety, built and sold 2 small businesses, been recruited to join the teams at CNN and Success Magazine, and now I'm one of the most booked speakers in the world. I've never felt more in control, happy, or free. I couldn't have done any of it without the rule. The 5 second rule changed everything by teaching me just one small thing: how to change. Using the rule, I replaced my tendency to overthink the smallest moves with a bias toward action. I used the rule to master self monitoring and become more present and productive. The rule taught me how to stop doubting and start believing in myself, my ideas, and my abilities. And the rule has given me the inner strength to become a better and much happier person, not for others, but for me. The rule can do the same for you. That's why I'm so excited to share it with you. In the next few chapters, you'll learn the story behind the rule, what it is, why it works, and the compelling science to back it up. You'll discover how 5 second decisions and acts of everyday courage change your life. Finally, you'll learn how you can use the hashtag 5 second rule in combination with the latest research backed strategies to become healthier, happier, and more productive and effective at work. You'll also learn how to use it to end worry, manage anxiety, and find meaning in your life and beat any fear. And that's not all. You'll see proof, lots of proof. This book is packed with social media posts and firsthand accounts from people all over the world who are using the rule to make some amazing things happen. Yes, the rule will help you wake up on time, but what it really does is something far more remarkable. It wakes up the inner genius, leader, rock star, athlete, artist, and change agent inside of you. When you first learn the rule, you'll likely start using it to stick to your goals. You might use the rule to push yourself to get to the gym like Margaret does when she isn't feeling it. Or you may use the rule to become more influential at work. That's how somebody first used the rule to find the courage to meet with her boss and talk about her career goals, something that so many of us fear. Thanks to the rule, it not only happened, but it went great. That's another thing that's unique about the rule. I may have created it, but it's not just my story to tell. Inside the book, you'll meet people around the world from all walks of life who are using the rule, in fact, in big and small, to take charge of their lives. Their diverse experiences will help you understand just how limitless the applications for the rule and its benefits truly are. You can use the rule to become more productive. Before the 5-second rule, Laura used to make endless to-do lists and sat around making excuses and being a jerk to herself. Now there's no room in Laura's life for excuses, only action. Laura has increased her cash flow by $4,000 a month, finished her bachelor's degree, and hiked a few 4,000 footers. Next up, run a marathon. You can use the rule to step out of your comfort zone and become more effective at networking. Ken used the 5-second rule the same day he learned it at the Project Management Institute National Conference to meet movers and shakers. Matthew used it to cold call C-level executives, and Alan used it to meet a dozen folks I wouldn't have otherwise at the PGA Golf Tour event. You can also use the rule to self-monitor and control your emotions. Jenny uses the rules as a mom to practice patience instead of snapping at her kids. She's also using it as a sales tool in her new direct selling business. The rule helps her stop thinking about how intimidating it is to sell and gives her the courage to just start selling. Executives inside some of the world's most respected brands are using the rule to help their managers change, drive sales, engage teams, and innovate. Take Crystal at USAA, whose entire sales team is using the 5-second rule, and the result has been awesome. They've jumped to #1 in their location. The 5-second rule is so easy to learn and so important for confidence that we see managers teaching it to their teams all over the world. Hang on just a second, guys. No, they just want you to spend money.
How can I get rid of it?
You'll also be inspired by the stories of people who are finding the courage to stop thinking and start putting their ideas into action. Mark, who after decades of thinking about starting a nonprofit ice hockey league for inner city kids, used the rule to finally get the idea out of my head and into action. He's now partnered with former Olympians and NHL alumni to create camps, clinics, and leagues. The rule is also a powerful tool in the battles of addiction and depression. Bill learned about the 5-second rule on a Reddit thread and was in the right message, right place, right time. He started using the rule's countdown trick to quit drinking, and it's worked amazing. He just celebrated his 40th birthday completely sober. And it might even save your life. A work colleague of mine recently reached out and shared a very poignant 5-second rule story with me. After he and his wife split up, he fell into a deep depression. It got so bad that he contemplated suicide. At his lowest point, he used the rule to put it down and call for help. Finding the courage to get out of his head by counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then calling for help saved his life. In using the rule for more than 7 years and hearing from people all over the world, I've come to realize that every single day we face moments that are difficult, uncertain, and scary. Your life requires courage, and that's exactly what the rule will help you discover, the courage to become your greatest self. How can one simple tool work in so many powerful ways? Great question. The 5-second rule is only ever working on one thing, you. You have greatness inside of you. Even at your lowest point, greatness is there. The rule will give you both the clarity to hear that greatness and the courage to act on it. Using the rule, I have discovered the courage to do things that I spent years thinking about and making excuses for. Only through action have I unlocked the power inside of me to become the person that I've always wanted to be. And the confidence I exhibit on TV, online, and on stage is what I call real confidence. I've built real confidence by learning how to honor my instincts with action so that they come to life in the real world. I use the word honor on purpose. That's what you're doing when you use the rule. You're honoring yourself. You are championing your ideas. And each time you use it, you take one step closer to being the person you are truly meant to be. I've changed from the kind of person who just thinks about my ideas to having the confidence to share, act on, and pursue them. If you use the rule consistently and you honor your instincts with action, the exact same transformation will happen to you. Marlo discovered just how easy it is to use the rule to transform herself. Days after learning the rule, she used it to stop thinking about signing up for classes and actually do it, which was something she had been wanting to do but kept making excuses for a long time. As Marlo put it, it's absolutely incredible and awe-inspiring how easy things become once you wrap your head around your own ability to push yourself. She's right. Once you start using the rule to push yourself out of your head and into action, you'll be astonished by how easy it is to make a 5-second decision that changes everything. As I used the rule more and more in my life, I realized that I was making small decisions all day long that held me back. In 5 seconds flat, I'd decide to stay quiet, to wait, and not risk it. I'd have an instinct to act, and within 5 seconds, my mind would kill it with doubt, excuses, worry, or fear. I was the problem, and in 5 seconds, I could push myself and become the solution. The secret to change had been right in front of my face the entire time. 5 seconds decisions. Have you ever seen the famous commencement address David Foster Wallace gave at Kenyon College in 2005? If you haven't seen or read this speech, you can find it on YouTube, and it's definitely worth the 20 minutes it takes to watch. In it, Wallace steps up to the mic and starts off with this joke. There are 2 young fish swimming along, and they happen to be an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" The 2 young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What the hell is water?" You can hear the audience laugh in the video, and then Wallace explains the immediate point of the fish story is that the most obvious, important realities are often the ones that are hardest to see and talk about. For me, the hardest thing to see and talk about was the very nature of change itself. I had always wondered why it was so damn hard to make myself do things I knew I should do in order to expand my career, enrich my relationships, become healthier, and improve my life. Discovering the 5-second rule gave me the $1 million answer. Change comes down to the courage you need every day to make 5-second decisions. You are one decision away from a completely different life. Inside this book, I'm going to share everything I've learned about change and the power of everyday courage. You're going to love what you are about to learn. The coolest part will be when you start to use the rule and see the results for yourself. You'll not only wake up and realize how much you've held yourself back, you'll also awaken the power that's been inside of you all along. As you read the stories inside these pages, you might even realize that you've used the 5-second rule before. If you look back on your life and reflect on some of the most important moments, I guarantee that you've made a life-changing decision purely on instinct. In 5 seconds flat, you made what I call a heart-first decision. You ignored your fears and let your courage and your confidence speak for you. 5 seconds of courage makes all the difference. Just ask Catherine. When she learned about the 5-second rule at her company's executive leadership offsite, it made her realize she had used the rule to make one of the most important decisions of her life. She just didn't realize it at the time. In 1990, her sister Tracy was killed, and Catherine traveled back home to help. That's when a 5-second decision changed not only her life, but so many others as well. She decided to raise her sister's 2 little ones who were left behind when Tracy died. I love how she describes the decision as a no-brainer, because when you act with courage, your brain is not involved. Your heart speaks first and you listen. The rule will teach you how. Will it take some effort on your part to discover the power within you? Yes, it will. But as Marlo just said a few pages ago, it's absolutely incredible and awe-inspiring how easy things become when you do. Doing the work to improve your life is simple. You can do it, and it's work you want to do because it's the most important work that there is. It's the work of learning how to love and trust yourself enough to stop waiting and to start leaning into all the magic, opportunity, and joy that your life, work, and relationships have to offer. I'm so excited to hear about what happens when you start using the 5-second rule, but I'm jumping ahead of my story. Before we can talk about all the exciting ways that you can use the rule, I need to take you back to 2009 and explain how all this started.
Okay, so really quick, one of the things that I love most about this book is she actually highlights, like she underlines like some key points for you, which is amazing. And I found that like almost every single one of them, I was like, yes, I need to highlight that, like, because I highlight all my books. But in the very beginning, and also on this next page, you see there are cutouts that you can actually cut out of the book and you can post in your space. Like you can post in your, your office or wherever it is, or maybe put it in the front of a binder or something like that, just to kind of like encourage and remind you. But the first one says everyday courage. Courage is the ability to do things that feel difficult, scary, or uncertain. It isn't reserved for just a chosen few. Courage is a birthright. It's inside all of us, and it's waiting for you to discover it. One moment of courage can change your day. One day can change your life, and one life can change the world. That's the true power of courage. It reveals you, the greatest version of you. Discover your courage, and you will be capable of accomplishing and experiencing anything you dream about. Yes, even changing the world. And I love that when it said courage is your birthright, right? So many people, I think, they just kind of over time, I guess maybe they just got worn down and they're just kind of like, I can't do these things because whatever, whatever the circumstances that they're allowing to hold themselves back. And courage is about pushing through those circumstances and doing it anyways, and I think, and I believed this too for a long time, that people that were doing amazing things, that they must have just been wired that way, right? That they don't have all the fears that I have, and they don't have the insecurities that I have and things like that. But over, my time in Tupperware and all the self-development that I have done and enrolled in and trainings and books and all the things, there is one resounding message, and that is even the people who appear that they don't have those things, the self, the self-confidence and all those things, they don't have those issues holding them back. They have moments of panic. They have moments of of self-doubt, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? But they take action anyways. And I think that that is like one of the most important things to just even take away from any book, but especially this book, because this is not only shining a light on that, but it's also giving you tools to like overcome it. Whereas a lot of the books, they just shine a light on it and they're just like, see, you're not alone. These brave people, they were once feeling the way you are, so you can do it too, right? That's what the typical message is of a lot of these books. But this actually gives you something that anybody can do. Anybody can count back from 5. And if you can't, we will teach you. Okay. No judgment here. We will teach you to count back from 5. All right. But it's just anybody can do that. But it's just a matter of, reminding yourself to do that. And so something, as we're reading this book, I want to challenge all of us every week to try and implement this in different ways. And we can spend the first 5 minutes of the next call, just sharing very briefly, like, yeah, I 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 my way into eating a healthy snack, or I 5, 4, 3 my way. And no, Jenny says no, into into making a phone call or reaching out to a consultant that I hadn't reached out to in a long time and I was feeling guilty about, whatever it is. We don't need a big backstory on it, just what it is that you did after you said one, and so that way, it just kind of brings that to light, because when you have that awareness that something invisible is holding you back, right? And there was I can't remember. There was one in particular. She says the rule, it's one of the quotes from one of the people. And she said the rule helps her stop thinking how intimidating it is to sell and gives her the courage to just start selling. And there's another one that I read this morning, and I thought that but it was like a quote from somebody that they pulled a little bit out of. And she had been at a conference and just kind of talked about how it just a lot of times we get hung up on what that person's going to say, what's the outcome, instead of just doing it, right? We make up the scenario in our head. We make up what the person's going to say to us, how they're going to resist us, and all those things. And that keeps us from moving. And instead, we need to not worry ourselves with that and just worry about actually taking the action and realize that that is the success. The success is you actually taking the action to send that text message, email, phone call, walk up to somebody, whatever it is, but it's not just about Tupperware, it's about all the things, it's about having the courage to walk into the gym for the first time in 5 years or ever, or whatever, having the courage to, take a walk, or to even just, whatever it is, get out of bed,
I think that's one of the coolest things about this book, because I've read a lot of these kinds of books. She starts out giving you permission to start with small, stupid things that other people, other self-help books are like, you can have $1 million business by the end of next week. You can, and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, so you can learn to get out of bed in the morning,
Right. Right.
It's just, and she's just very real about everything. And I don't know. This was one of those life-changing books for me, you guys. So you're going to find out that I really, really like her, and don't like her TV show so much, but I really
I
like
haven't
it.
watched it.
No, it's Maury with a little bit of class, not much.
It started out pretty good, but then it kind of became that, and I was really pretty disappointed.
I know, I was too. I was like, well, don't need to keep recording this.
Right. I was kind of like, yes, I'm going to get a dose of Mel every day, and then yeah.
So
It
and
was paternity tests.
Paternity.
no, she doesn't do paternity tests, but she tells you how to take one in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh dear.
So she talked about the guy. She said if you hadn't listened to his commencement address,
Mhm.
and I never had as many times as ours. So I went to it yesterday and listened to it, but talking about the fish in the water.
Yeah.
It's really good. So it's 22 minutes and some long. So if you're bored, just go to YouTube, let it play while you're, while you're driving or whatever. It's really good.
Yeah. I hadn't gotten a chance to listen to it either. But yeah, and actually, I will get the information, because at the beginning of the Audible, she has like a free 30-day come to your email sort of thing. And I just can't remember. There's just an email address you got to send it to and say, it's basically her thanking you for investing in the book. And it may be in this book
I
somewhere
think it's
too.
in the back of the book too.
Is it in the back of the book?
And like once you start, all of her stuff is free.
Oh, that's it right here. It's right here at the very last page. It said, if you love this book, you'll love this gift even more. 31 sessions to real confidence. So I remember I did that when I first read the book all those years ago. I was thinking, I'm like, so I wonder if I can do it again. Like, I don't know. Do they keep track of that? Like my name on a list?
I have them all in a folder on my computer.
Oh, look at
I
you.
know, I have them all. I have like 106 Mel Robbins trainings in a folder.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she does a lot of free content. And then there was one year, Jenny, didn't we do like something, and it was like was it this? No, I didn't think so. I thought it was like we signed up for some sort of a free at the beginning of the year thing, and it was
yeah, she does.
That was really good.
She does the 30 days to change your life kind of thing at the beginning of the year. And
yeah, and that was
the year I
really
bought
good.
the planner and all that. Her planner is really cool too. But
yeah. So but yeah, so she has, if you go to her website, there's a lot of free content there, which is amazing, and so it's always great when that makes me want to buy the things. When they're giving away so much, it makes me want to buy the book. It makes me want to buy the planner. But when they're, when you have to, they're nickel and dime, and you have to pay for every last thing, it loses a little bit of an impact, but yeah, so those were just some of the things I just kind of wanted to point out from that first chapter. So we can keep moving on.
Something,
Amy.
let me really quick, something that's not in the chapter, but something that I heard from her semi recently in a training that I listened to was something really silly, but it's totally like kind of changed how my day mostly goes. And I just realized I sort of stopped doing it a couple of weeks ago and I need to start doing it again. And it's really silly, but she says to give yourself a high five in the mirror because you can't do that without smiling. So you're not looking at the mirror, judging yourself, you know, like everybody normally does when they see a mirror, they're like, oh gosh, my hair's a mess. Oh, I need to, fix blah, blah, blah. Right. So, so instead you high five the mirror and it makes you smile and it disrupts those critical thoughts that you're having of yourself looking in the mirror. So I only do it in the bathroom, but when I, stop it, Jenny.
I think you should do it running down the hall.
Well, I don't have a mirror down the hall, but yes, that's,
You could put one on Charlotte's door, and every day you're just like walking down the hall, like, Liam, I look good. High five. I'm
right,
wearing the bedroom.
high five. I need to get dressed. High five.
That's
But
funny.
it does really make me smile, which just, starts the whole ball rolling of having a more positive day. And
Mhm.
so it's really small and simple, but it's goes right there along with the 5-second thing where it really disrupts that thought process of when you see yourself in the mirror. So something to make you smile during the day today.
Yeah. But,
your
and that's
5-second
honestly,
mirror.
Amy, that's key is you disrupting that thought process when you're
Exactly.
going through that downward spiral of shame, judgment, all of that stuff that we all do. We are all guilty of it.
Yeah.
Whether for me, it inevitably is like laying in bed in the middle of the night. During the day, I've got too much going on. I don't have to think about, I'm not thinking about I'm not honestly, I'm barely thinking. I'm just going through the motions
You're
during
just
the day.
doing.
There's so much going on. But at night, when it's quiet, that's when, and I'm laying there and I'm like, I have so much to do tomorrow and I can't sleep. What is wrong with me? And then I start down there. And so, but you being able again to have something that is a trick that you can do as simple as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as simple as high-fiving yourself in the mirror, that's huge. It's huge to have those type of things tucked away for those moments when you're just having a hard time pulling yourself out of it,
Yeah.
So
Look,
Well, and at
I
night
just
like
Lori does
that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1 herself to come back on live. Look at her.
Lori was eating breakfast.
I know.
You can-
At night
just
when I
want-
have
I-
something stuck in my head like that, Ellen, even though I already have it written down somewhere, I still grab a pad and I write it down because then it's like, okay, it's there. I know what I need to do. I can now stop obsessing over it. So
Right. What were you going to say, Lydia?
I just want to give a huge kudos and a shout out to Amy Beebe and Melissa Tenney for both being on here this morning with migraines.
Right.
That
True.
takes a lot. I'm serious.
thank you.
Yeah, I can't, I've never had a migraine, but I know my allergies have been bad the last couple days, like my eyes burning and itching and sneezing, but I've never had a migraine and I'm sure it's not pleasant. So,
No, I was sick as a dog yesterday.
oh.
Yeah, I was so nauseous like all day from it.
Awesome. Well,
But
thanks you guys.
Lydia.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
For your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to get on here.
That's right. That's
That's
exactly
right.
what I did.
Making it happen. Now you can 5, 4, 3, then when that headache right out of here. You're done. We're done here. Be gone.
It was
All
that
right.
easy.
I know,
And you're
right?
exactly right. I am eating breakfast and I know how much everyone enjoys watching other people eat on Zoom. I thought I would spare you that. And
Yeah,
Girl.
no, I'm with you on that, girl. Usually, if I'm off camera on a morning thing, I'm eating breakfast.
You could lay down and eat it. That would be even better.
Awful.
So
All
we can
right.
just see the top of your head, like
Yeah.
bangs up. There you go.
There. That's funny. All right, Jenny, are you ready for chapter 2?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Are you ready for chapter 2?
I am ready.
All
Bring
right.
it.
Courage. The ability to do something that is difficult or scary, stepping outside of your comfort zone, sharing your ideas, speaking up or showing up, standing firm in your beliefs and values, and some days getting out of bed. How I discovered the 5-second rule. Courage is found in unlikely places. This all started in 2009. I was 41 years old and facing some major problems with money, work, and in my marriage. And as soon as I woke up each morning, all I felt was dread. Have you ever felt that way? It's the worst. The alarm rings and you just don't feel like getting up and facing the day. Or you lie awake at night with your head spinning as you worry about all of your problems. That was me. For months, I felt so overwhelmed by the problems I had that I could barely get out of bed. When the alarm rang at 6 a.m., I would lie there and think about the day ahead and the lien on the house, the negative account balance, my failed career, how much I resented my husband, and then I would hit the snooze button, not once, but over and over again. In the beginning, it wasn't a big deal. But as is the case with any bad habit, as time went on, it snowballed into a much bigger problem that impacted my entire day. By the time I finally got up, the kids had missed the bus, and I felt like I was failing at life. I spent most of my days tired, running late, and feeling totally overwhelmed. I don't even know how it started. I just remember feeling so defeated all the time. My professional life was in the gutter. Over the past 12 years, I had changed careers so many times, I was developing multiple personalities. After graduating from law school, I started my career as a public defender for the Legal Aid Criminal Defense Society in New York City. Then I met my husband, Chris. We got married and moved to Boston so he could pursue his MBA. In Boston, I worked crazy hours for a large law firm and was miserable all the time. When our daughter was born, I used my maternity leave to look for a new job and landed in the Boston startup scene. I worked for several tech startups during those years. It was fun and I learned a lot, but I never felt like tech was the right career for me. I hired a coach to help me figure out what to do with my life. Working with a coach led me to want to become one. So, like a lot of people, I worked during the day, focused on the kids when I got home, and then I studied at night to get the certification I needed. Eventually, I launched a coaching business. I loved it, and I would probably still be doing it if the media had not called. My media career began as a fluke. Inc. magazine published an article featuring my coaching business, and an executive at CNBC saw it and called. That one call led to lots of meetings. After months of tryouts, I landed a development deal with ABC and a call-in radio show on Sirius. Sounds fancy, but it wasn't. I was surprised to learn that most development deals pay next to nothing and that radio pays even less than that. In reality, I was a mother of three driving back and forth to New York City, sleeping on friends' couches in the city, coaching clients on the side to make ends meet, leaning too much on friends and family to fill the childcare gap, and doing whatever I could to make it all work. After several years scraping by in the media business, I got my big break. I was cast to host a reality show for Fox. I had visions of magically solving all of our financial problems by becoming a TV star. What a joke. We shot a few episodes of a show called Someone's Gotta Go, and then the network tabled the show. In an instant, my media career hit a dead end. I already got paid if we were shooting. I only got paid if we were shooting. I found myself unemployed and locked into a contract for 10 months that prevented me from pursuing another media job. By this point, Chris had finished his MBA and started a thin crust pizza restaurant with his best friend in the Boston area. In the beginning, things were going great. The first location was a home run. The company won Best of Boston, multiple regional awards, and the pizza was fantastic. They opened up a second restaurant and, on the encouragement of a large grocery chain, a wholesale operation. On the outside, it looked like business was booming, but on the balance sheet, the wheels were starting to come off. They had expanded too quickly. The second restaurant failed, and the wholesale business needed more cash to grow. Things got scary very fast. Like a lot of small business owners, we had poured our home equity line and life savings into the restaurant business, and it was now disappearing before our eyes. We had no savings left, and the home equity line was tapped out. Weeks went by without Chris getting paid. Liens started to hit the house. With me out of work and Chris's business struggling, the financial pressure mounted. Scary letters from attorneys seemed to arrive daily, and checks constantly bounced. The collection calls were so relentless that we unplugged the phone. When my dad sent us money to cover the mortgage, I was both grateful and ashamed. In public, we tried to keep up appearances because so many friends and family members had invested in the restaurant business, which only made the pressure worse. Chris and his partner were working around the clock to save it. I tried to keep an upbeat facade, but on the inside, I was overwhelmed, embarrassed, and afraid. Our financial problems were tearing us apart. I blamed the restaurants and he blamed me for pursuing a career in the media business. In truth, we were both to blame. No matter how bad your life can seem, you can always make it worse. I did. I drank too much, way too much. I was jealous of friends who didn't have to work. I was bitchy and judgmental. Our problems seemed so big that I convinced myself there was nothing I could do. Meanwhile, in public, I just pretended everything was fine. In hindsight, I can see it was just easier to feel sorry for myself and blame Chris and his struggling business than to take a look in the mirror and pull myself together. The best way to describe how I felt was trapped. I felt trapped in my life and the decisions I had made. I felt trapped by our money problems. I felt trapped in a frustrating struggle with myself. I knew what I should or could be doing to make things better, but I couldn't make myself do those things. They were small things: getting up on time, being nicer to Chris, getting support from friends, drinking less, and taking better care of myself. But knowing what you need to do isn't enough to create a change. I would think about exercising, but I wouldn't. I would consider calling a friend to talk, but I didn't. I knew that if I tried to find a job outside of the media industry, it would help, but I couldn't motivate myself to look. I didn't feel comfortable going back to coaching people because I felt like such a failure myself. I knew what I needed to do, but I couldn't make myself take action. And that's the thing that makes changing so hard. Change requires you to do things that feel hard and scary. Change requires courage and confidence, and I was tapped out of both. What I did do was spend a lot of time thinking. Thinking made everything worse. The more I thought about the situation that we were in, the more afraid I felt. That's what your mind does when you focus on problems. It magnifies them. The more I worried, the more uncertain and overwhelmed I became. The more I thought, the more paralyzed I felt. Every night I'd have a few drinks to take the edge off. I'd climb in bed, drunk or buzzed, closing my eyes and dream about a different life. One where I didn't have to work and all of our problems had magically disappeared. The moment I woke up, I had to face reality. My life was a nightmare. I was 41, unemployed, in financial ruin, struggling with a drinking problem, and had zero confidence in me or my husband's abilities to fix our problems. That's where the snooze button came in. I hit it 2, 3, or 4 times a morning. When I hit that snooze button, it was the one moment every day where I felt like I was in control. It was an act of defiance, as if I were saying, "Oh yeah, take that, life. I'm not getting up right now. I'm going back to sleep." So there. By the time I finally got up, Chris had already left for the restaurants. The kids were in various states of dress, and the school bus was long gone. To say mornings were chaotic would be putting it politely. They were a train wreck. We were always late. I forgot lunches, backpacks, gym bags, and permission slips as we raced out the door. I felt ashamed by the number of balls I dropped every single day. Feeling that shame just put me on edge even more. And here's the kicker. I knew what I needed to do to start my day right. I needed to get up on time, make breakfast, and get the kids on the bus. Then I needed to look for a job. It's not like I had to climb Mount Everest. However, the fact was that it was simple stuff actually made it worse. I had no legitimate excuse for why I couldn't get it done. My self-confidence was in a death spiral. If I couldn't even get up on time, how the heck could I have faith in myself to fix the bigger financial and marital problem that Chris and I faced? Looking back, I can see that I was losing hope. Have you ever noticed how the smallest things can feel so hard? Having heard from thousands of you, I know I'm not alone on this. The list of hard things is surprisingly universal. Speaking at a meeting, staying positive, making a decision, finding time for yourself, asking for feedback, raising your hand, asking for a raise, ending self-doubt, working on your resume, hitting send on emails, sticking to your plan, leaving the house, volunteering to go first, showing up at a reunion, blocking an ex on social media, talking to someone you find attractive, stepping on a dance floor, publishing your work, getting to the gym, eating in moderation, saying no, asking for help, letting your guard down, admitting you're wrong, listening. In my case, it was getting up on time. Lying in bed every night, I would make promises to myself that tomorrow I would change. Tomorrow I would change. Tomorrow I'll wake up earlier. Tomorrow I'll have a better attitude and try a little harder. I'll go to the gym. I'll be nice to my husband. I'll eat healthy. I won't drink so much. Tomorrow I will be the future me. And with that vision in mind and a heart full of hope, I'd set my alarm for 6 a.m. and close my eyes. And the cycle would begin the very next morning. As soon as that alarm rang and I didn't feel like the future me, I felt like the old me, and the old me wanted to keep sleeping. Yes, I thought about getting up, and then I would hesitate, roll toward the alarm, hit the snooze button. 5 seconds was all it took for me to talk myself out of it. The reason I didn't get out of bed was simple. I just didn't feel like it. I would later learn that I was stuck in what researchers called a habit loop. I had hit the snooze button so many mornings in a row, the behavior was now a closed loop pattern encoded in my brain. Then one night, everything changed. I was about to turn off the TV and head to bed when a television commercial caught my attention. There on the screen was the image of a rocket launching. I could hear the famous final 5-second countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire. And fire and smoke filled the air, the screen, and the shuttle launched. I thought to myself, that's it. I'll launch myself out of bed tomorrow, like a rocket. I'll move so fast I won't have time to talk myself out of it. It was just an instinct, one that I could have easily dismissed. Luckily, I didn't. I acted on it. The fact is, I wanted to solve our problems. I didn't want to destroy my marriage or keep feeling like the world's worst mom. I wanted to be financially secure. I wanted to feel happy and proud of myself again. And I desperately wanted to change. I just didn't know how. This is an important point in my story. The instinct to launch myself out of bed was my inner wisdom talking. Hearing it was a tipping point. Following its instructions was life-changing. Your brain and your body send you signals to wake up and to pay attention. This idea of launching myself out of bed is an example of that. Your instincts may seem stupid in the moment, but when you honor them with deliberate action, it can change your life. There's more to this point about acting on your instincts than just the phrase, trust your gut. New research from the University of Arizona in partnership with Cornell and Duke has shown that there's a powerful connection between your brain and your instinct to act. When you set a goal, your brain opens up a task list. Whenever you're near things that can help you achieve those goals, your brain fires up your instincts to signal to get that goal complete. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a goal to get healthier. If you walk into a living room, nothing happens. If you walk past a gym, however, your prefrontal cortex lights up because you're near something related to getting healthier. As you pass the gym, you'll feel like you should exercise. That's an instinct reminding you of the goal. That's your inner wisdom, and it's important to pay attention to it, no matter how small or silly that instinct may seem. Subconsciously, my brain was signaling me to pay attention to this rocket launch on TV. In that 5-second moment, my brain was sending me a very clear set of instructions. Pay attention to that rocket launch, Mel. Grab the idea, believe in it, and do it. Don't stop and think. Don't talk yourself out of it. Launch yourself out of bed tomorrow, Mel. That's one of the things I've learned using the 5-second rule. When it comes to goals, dreams, and changing your life, your inner wisdom is a genius. Your goal-related impulses, urges, and instincts are there to guide you. You need to learn to bet on them. Because as history proves, you'll never know when your greatest inspiration will strike and where that discovery will lead you if you trust yourself enough to act on it. This is how some of the world's most useful inventions were discovered. In 1826, John Walker discovered the match while he was using a stick to stir a pot of chemicals, and when he tried to scrape the gob off the end of it, it ignited. He followed his instinct to try and recreate it, and this is how he discovered the match. In 1941, George de Lemestral invented Velcro after noticing how easily cockleburrs attached to his dog's fur. In 1974, Art Fry got the idea of the Post-it note because he needed a bookmark that would stay put on a page in his hymnal until Sunday church service, but that would not damage the pages when he removed it. That's even how the Frappuccino was born. In 1992, an assistant manager at Starbucks in Santa Monica noticed that sales dropped whenever it was hot outside. He had an instinct to make a frozen drink, and he followed it, asking for a blender, tinkering with recipes, and giving a vice president a sample. The first Frappuccino rolled out of his store a year later. When it comes to change, goals, and dreams, you have to bet on yourself. That bet starts with hearing the instinct to change and honoring that instinct with action. I feel so thankful that I listened to my dumb idea about launching myself out of bed like a rocket, because everything in my life changed as a result of it. Here's what happened. The next morning, the alarm rang at 6 a.m., and the first thing I felt was dread. It was dark. It was cold. It was winter in Boston, and I did not want to wake up. I thought about the rocket launch, and I immediately felt like I was stupid. Then I did something I had never done before. I ignored how I felt. I didn't think. I did what needed to be done. Instead of hitting the snooze button, I started counting backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I stood up. That was the exact moment I discovered the 5-second rule.
Awesome. I love that. So one of the things that I love so much in this chapter was she says, when it comes to change, goals, and dreams, you have to bet on yourself. That bet starts with hearing the instinct to change and honoring that instinct with action. I loved that. There's so many good things that I liked in this chapter. Even just kind of like, we all feel that moment when we're just like, you know what you need to do, but you don't do it. So what's the problem? And then you go down the spiral of shame, right? You're like, what's wrong with me? Why won't I do these things that I know are better for me and make me feel better, make me look better, make me act better, make me my business better, whatever it is, right? And then we're just like, well, because I'm a loser, or whatever the word is in your head that you kind of gravitate to when you're feeling that way, right? And it's huge because and when she talks about change requires you to do things that feel hard and scary, and change requires courage and confidence. And I was tapped out of both, her just kind of, and we've all felt that way. Yes, we've all felt that way. Like a week and a half ago, I felt that way. I fell down and I hurt my arm really bad. It's still hurting very badly. And I sat there and cried. It was like, why is this happening to me? Like, because I was just so frustrated and overwhelmed by just life. And I was just like, what is wrong? Like, why is this happening? Why can't I catch a break? And all of that. And I remember feeling that way, right? We all have those moments, but it's truly just a moment. And that's why it's so important to get that perspective and realize it is truly just a moment and it will pass. The doctor says about 6 months for my arm to be better. But anyways, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's so important to get that perspective and realize and sometimes it takes a friend, right? You call a friend and you're just like, things suck right now and I don't know how to get out of it. And that friend can be like, listen, it's not as bad as you think. You still have this, and this, And so sometimes it does take somebody else to pull you out of it. But in that moment, when you don't have somebody, this is a tool that you can use to help pull you out of it,
So did somebody tell you have another arm you can use in the meantime?
Right. My left arm. Okay.
Are you right-handed?
Yes. Awful. And Ella's like,
is.
Mom, it increases your brain power by using your opposite, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care about brain power right now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go in the other room.
And in the meantime,
I hit you with my left arm.
and in the meantime, you can't write with your other hand. You can't get food into your mouth with the other hand.
Right. I can't even cut food. How am I supposed to cook when I can't cut food? Like, it's awful. It's so
I'm
bad.
going to tell you right now, I am ambidextrous when it comes to eating.
Yeah, I can eat, but I can't cut the food. Yeah.
As long as I can hold the bowl up to my mouth and slurp, I'm good.
Put it in a mug.
There you go.
You can't even spray hand sanitizer.
No, I cannot. She was in the car with me. And I was like, ow, ow, ow. Trying to spray the hand sanitizer. I was like, well, that sucks.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it'll get better. But yeah, and just I love her even just addressing just some of the simple things that we hold ourselves back from, and like Jenny said, those little things. They're so done. So those little things that because sometimes we can't get to the big things because we can't get out of bed. We can't get to the big things because we don't even care enough about ourselves right now to brush our hair, to do something, and so yeah, all of those things. Yes, Jeff, right. Mm-hmm.
And things when something goes wrong, and sometimes it's not a big thing. It's not falling down and hurting yourself. It's, I don't know, dropping a glass in the kitchen and spilling milk or something like that.
Right.
And the first reaction that we are, I think, conditioned to have is then to list everything that has gone wrong since you did get out of bed.
Yes.
That morning.
Oh, yes.
I dropped the milk. I couldn't find my shoe. My sock didn't fit right. You just make this long list instead of going, oh, well, there's paper towels right here. I can clean it up and it'll be just fine. Nobody goes there. I don't care.
No. Or one of those days when you're always hitting your elbow or hitting you're just
I have
off,
an
right?
elbow thing right now.
Yeah, I got an elbow thing right now. But you're just kind of off, and so and those are the days you're dropping everything that you touch and you're just blah. And it's those small things.
So
I just thought that was me. No, it's not just you, Melissa.
No. And then you just go, I'm just going to go sit down and not touch anything else. I'm not doing anything else. I'm going to turn on Netflix and here I am.
Yeah. Usually for me, that's when I blow up at the kids or something. And so they would be the first to admit that I have gone to them and be like, I'm sorry, my reaction did not fit what had happened there. And I'm just having a moment. And they're always like, it's okay, Mom. It's okay. I understand. I'm like, Okay, well, I
That's
wish
because
it did.
that's because kids are nice. Adults, not so much sometimes. They're like, yeah, you're
Right.
right. You shouldn't have reacted that way. What's the matter with you?
You're like,
Which
that
then
doesn't
makes
help.
you go even further with it.
Which is like, well, let me tell you.
Tell you what's wrong with me. You.
So I wrote this down, and I think it was from that guy's speech because I wrote in the book. I usually just highlight. I wrote in the book. I know.
I do
now,
both.
now I need a new one.
Rebel.
It says it isn't about our capacity to think, but rather the choice of what we think about.
Mhm.
And it's so that's and then it was like white noise, that you react to what you hear, and you get to decide what you're going to hear from that white noise. Why are you laughing?
Me? I'm not laughing.
Oh, you look like you're laughing.
Oh no, I wasn't. I was stretching my
Okay.
neck. It hurt
But
my
you
neck.
get to decide what you're going to hear. And he was saying, like, we always talk about life after death. And he goes, why do we think about that? He goes, why don't we think about life before death? He goes, we've got all of this to do now, and everybody wants to argue about life after death. He goes, not an issue right now. It was
That's
just,
funny.
he's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I'm very excited about this book. There's so many good points that she makes that we can all relate to. You know, big and small. Did anybody have anything else that they wanted to share? Well, I'm looking forward to next week and everybody sharing their 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 moments.
And you have to count backwards. That's kind of a spoiler for the book, but you can't start at 1 and go up. You have to start at 5 and go down.
Yeah, because there's a 6
Yeah.
and a 7 and an 8.
7,842.
You're still counting.
Still going. I'm going to get up at 9,000.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness.
I think Jeff froze.